would like to call this meeting to order. Thank you for joining us during our weekly virtual MLS breakfast meetings. My name is Cecilia Rudar from American Heritage Realtors, and I'm your September MLS program chair. You can see my bio on the screen. I think the one thing I just want to share with you that maybe I haven't is the importance of getting involved in committees, being a participant in the organization. You know, we're only a volunteer organization. That's how we function. That's how we've always functioned. And after CAR talks yesterday, it was impressed upon me the amount of time realtors volunteer. And it's important. And I think Christian, our speaker today, will be telling you about the importance of volunteering in political affairs. So just my plug, you'll be getting the opportunity to put in your requests for committees soon. So please volunteer. Okay, a few housekeeping tips. All participants will be muted upon entry to the MLS breakfast meeting. And if you should have a question or a comment, please make them positive. Please remember to enter them in the chat box. Okay, please remember to join us weekly as we have our virtual MLS meetings every Thursday at 9 a.m. And as always, this meeting is being recorded and will be available online on our YouTube channel, West San Gabriel Valley Realtors. Please remember to follow the West San Gabriel Valley Realtors social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also watch all our pre-recorded videos on YouTube. Make sure and subscribe to WSGVR text message service to get all the latest information from the association. Text WSGVR to the number 72727. Okay, now we have a quick MLS tip. This is from the citation policy. And if you'd like to save $1,500, I think you should pay attention to this, because that's how much some of these violations are. A violation of the rules must be corrected within 2 days of receipt of a warning notice of violation sent to the violator and/or responsible participant. Failure to timely correct a noted violation will result in the issuance of a citation, and the failure to correct a violation within 2 days of receipt of the citation is a violation of MLS Rule 14.4a and will result in an additional citation for failure to correct. CRMLS will utilize the email address provided by the participant subscriber as contained within the MLS platform. Make sure that information is correct. Every MLS participant and subscriber shall be required to maintain a correct, accurate, and active email address in which they may be contacted. Very important tip for this morning. Today's agenda consists of our affiliate spotlight, none other than Mark Wu from Allstate Insurance, followed by our guest speaker, Christian Hoisrad from the National Association of Realtors. And again, we are very honored to have Christian with us this morning. Just a reminder, to be eligible for today's prizes, you must be a WSGVR member and your name must be displayed to win. No telephone numbers will be accepted. Now for our affiliate spotlight, brought to you by the affiliate committee. The chair is Sage Gomez, my NHD, Vice Chair Brandon Savronsky, First American NHD. The floor is yours, Mark. Welcome.
Thank you, Sil. It's a privilege to be able to tell our members about myself. My name is agency owner Mark Wu here. I've been an agent in the San Gabriel Valley since 1988. One thing you'll know about me is that I like to travel. I've been in many places in the world. And if they could bring up the next screen. So what I've done this year, just to recover from our shutdown last year, is I was able to, oh, there we go. So 32 years I've been married to my wife, Susan, and I have 3 wonderful daughters, Kiara, Kayla, and Cassidy. Kiara is a director of a transitional housing in Texas. Kayla is studying to be a physical therapist. Cassidy is studying finance at Concordia University. The travel screen. And one of the things I was able to do just in May is to go to Belize with my 2 daughters and swim with nurse sharks, which was a incredible experience. And the other thing that I love to do, one thing we're passionate about is we like our local sports teams. So we have attended all our local sports team this year. And so that's a big relief to go to. Another thing that's been neat is my daughter has gotten into pickleball. She's not pickleball, but spike ball, and she is a nationally ranked player. And she was asked to be on ESPN2 a couple months ago. So that was pretty incredible experience. People think we just handle homeowners or landlord's policy and property insurance, but we do quite a bit out of my agency. So I'll list it there on my personal insurance lines. We also do financial products, so we can assist clients with their financial retirement plans or just protecting their assets in the event that one of the spouses die. We can pay off the loan of the mortgage, and so that the house is free and clear to the family. And I'm very grateful that my staff is all licensed. That's very unusual in the insurance field, and we are able to handle 5 languages out of our office, which is Cantonese, Mandarin, Spanish, and Vietnamese. And so we also tend to support a lot of, I'm committed to supporting a lot of charities. Part of the income I derive from the properties you allow me to insure through my agency, we do give back to many charities, and women's initiatives and the poor are very dear to our heart. Again, thank you for the privilege of being able to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties we're having, but hopefully you guys were able to hear everything I spoke about. Thank you, and let me be in. Allow your clients to be in my good hands.
Thank you, Mark. It's always a pleasure to have you, and we love being able to share your life with us. Thank you. Okay, now how about some affiliate introductions? Always remember to support our affiliates with your transactions. First is Sage Gomez from My NHD.
Good morning, everyone. Sage Gomez here with My NHD. Have a great day.
Sandy Franco, First American Home Warranty.
Good morning, everyone. Sandy Franco, First American Home Warranty. Have a fantastic day.
Juanita Wu from Home Warranty of America.
Good morning, everyone. Unita Wu, Home Warranty of America. Have a wonderful day.
Nancy Chan, Lawyers Title.
Good morning, Sil. Good morning, everybody. I'm Nancy Chan, Lawyers Title. Thank you so much.
Judy Chow, AAA Capital Investments.
Judy Chow, Senior Loan Officer at AA Capital. Have a great week.
John Wax, Snap NHD.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you're doing well. John Wax with Snap NHD. Natural hazard disclosures.
Next, we have Angie Tang from Stewart Title.
Thank you, Cecilia. Good morning, everyone. Angie Tang, Stewart Title, Enjoy Caravan.
Maria Howard, Old Republic Home Protection.
I know it's a mouthful. No worries. Hi, everybody. Maria Howard here with Old Republic Home Protection to help you with any of your home warranty questions. You guys have a wonderful day, and thank you.
Again, Mark Wu from Allstate Insurance.
Thank you, everyone. We're here. My agency is here to assist you with your property insurance needs. Have a fantastic week.
Cosmo Sanchez, New AIM Funding.
Good morning. Please reach out with any lending questions. Thank you.
Hong Chang from Hong Chang Insurance.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. And Hong Kong from Hong Kong Insurance.
Okay, let's go into our pitching. And now we have a pitch from our own Shun Zhang of Remax My Home.
Thank you, Sil. Good morning, everyone. 1049 Cyrus Lane in Acadia has an open floor plan and consists of 4-bedroom, 3 baths. The owner suite with French door is located on the first floor. Throughout the double door entrance door is a formal living room with decorative fireplace. The oversized chef kitchen with beautiful granite countertop, stainless steel appliances such as Jenn-Air with 48 inches guest cooktops, 2 separate ovens, custom cabinet and center islands. The living space is almost 2,300. It's almost 2,350 square feet, which includes the permitted bonus room. The lot size is pretty big, 8,700 square feet, and a 3-year-old solar panel has been paid in full. There's a Tesla charger in garage. This Acadia School District home is move-in ready and is future ready as well. Other features are plantation shutters, wood floor, separate laundry room, and many more. Asking price is only 1.28. Lockbox, it's on the side gate. Please call, text for the CBS code. Thank you for showing.
Thank you, Shun. And now let's introduce our speaker. And before I do that, I want to thank Ling Chow for helping us get Christian to be able to come to our association this morning. Christian Hoisrad is the Federal Programs Manager for the National Association of Realtors. He is the political representative and he's based out of Washington, D.C., serving as the NAR's liaison to state and local realtor associations across 9 states and territories, including the 6 New England states on the East Coast, as well as California, Hawaii, and Guam on the West Coast. In his role, Christian leads advocacy efforts in support of NAR federal legislative agenda and RPAC political programs. Christian received a dual degree in political science and public communication at America University with concentrations in leadership studies and professional campaign management. Christian proudly hails from Gloucester, Massachusetts, and currently resides in the nation's capital. Christian, welcome to our association.
Cecilia, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you for that lovely introduction and this beautiful slide. I always feel so important when the locals put together slides like this. Feel like a celebrity. So thank you very much. It's a pleasure to join you all. As Cecilia mentioned, I'm based here in Washington, D.C. And right now we have quite the busy month here in September shaping up for NAR's advocacy team in the nation's capital, with numerous kind of very important deadlines coming down the pike for Congress, including what we expect to be major action on President Biden's Build Back Better infrastructure package, which could have significant impacts on housing in the real estate industry. So I know a few weeks ago, you all heard from my fantastic colleague, Matt Roberts, who covers federal issues for the California Association of Realtors. So today I'm going to provide a bit of a follow-up on Matt's presentation and tell you about where things presently stand on Capitol Hill related to government funding, raising the debt limit, and of course, passage of the infrastructure package and its impact on, or potential impact on, our industry. I also have some good news to share on some of the early success our advocacy efforts have already yielded within the infrastructure debate. So I look forward to sharing some of that with you. And rather than going through a PowerPoint, I figured I would just provide a verbal update and take questions throughout the presentation to allow for more discussion. So please feel free to post any questions you may have in the Q&A tab or the chat. So as we head into the final week of September, Congress's work on passing the infrastructure package will align with 2 immediate matters that I'm sure all of you have been hearing about in the news that need to be resolved by September 30th. And those two major items include funding the government to avert a government shutdown and raising the federal debt limit, which is the amount of money that the US government is authorized to borrow to cover our country's debt, which has certainly increased as a result of the nearly $5 trillion in COVID relief spending Congress had authorized over the last year and a half. So on the government funding side of things, you should all know that Democrats have proposed a stopgap bill that will keep the government funded beyond September 30th through early December and should include another short-term reauthorization of the National Flood Insurance Program. So the good news is, as long as Congress keeps the government funded, NFIP should continue uninterrupted. However, one potential hurdle to passing that government funding bill is the debate over raising the debt limit or the government's borrowing authority. Democrats want to raise the debt limit through that short-term government funding bill that they've already proposed and have already passed through the House of Representatives. Republicans, on the other hand, continue to insist that they will not support a debt limit increase because of the looming infrastructure bill that Democrats are attempting to pass through the Senate without Republican support, which includes $3.5 trillion in government spending. Democrats believe that raising the debt limit should be a bipartisan effort because both parties are responsible for the nation's debt and because both parties voted to support the COVID relief spending in response to the pandemic to help keep America's families afloat. For further historical context here, Democrats voted to raise the debt limit 3 times under the Trump administration to avoid a default on our debts. So in this case, Democrats expect Republicans to do the same. However, Republicans say that since the Democrats are insistent on moving forward with more massive spending through the infrastructure package, they should be the ones to bear the responsibility of raising the debt ceiling once again. So to kind of put that all in simplistic perspective, Republicans want to frame the Democrats as big spenders, while the Democrats are determined to fulfill President Biden's infrastructure package promise. And so that leaves government funding, the flood insurance program, and the debt limit sort of stuck in the middle of these competing priorities. Now, we've seen this game before, and both sides are banking on the threat of a potential government shutdown, forcing the other side to the table. Just about an hour ago, House Speaker Pelosi and Senate Leader Schumer held a press conference with Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen to emphasize the importance of coming to an agreement with Republicans on raising the debt limit. So this continues to be a work in progress. The government runs out of money on September 30th. So all of this will be coming to a head over the next week. So for now, your staff here in Washington at NAR is continuing to monitor the negotiations, and we are already proactively preparing resources for you all, for our Realtor members, on what impacts a potential government shutdown could have on our industry. So before I move on to more of the infrastructure side of things, are there any questions that we're seeing in the chat there, Cecilia? No questions? All right. So that's just the kind of basic lay of the land in terms of kind of where we are in terms of the drama right now occurring on Capitol Hill. So putting those two matters aside, here is the latest on the infrastructure package and its potential impact on the real estate industry. First and foremost, just a quick review. The proposed package includes 2 massive bills, a $550 billion bipartisan bill covering hard or traditional infrastructure, like funding for roads and highways, bridges, and transit, while the other more controversial and partisan bill, which is estimated to be about, as I said, $3.5 trillion, covers social or human infrastructure, like investments in education and healthcare, which are big priorities of President Biden and congressional Democrats. But that bill also includes some housing components, which I'll touch on shortly. But in addition to those housing components and education and healthcare priorities, $3.5 trillion needs to be paid for in some way, somehow. And so NAR and in conjunction in partnership with CAR have been following what we call revenue raisers, or the way by which Congress is planning to pay for this infrastructure package. And the way you pay for it is by typically increasing taxes. And so we have identified several tax provisions, which I know Matt had covered a few weeks ago from CAR, in terms of the tax increases that we were most concerned about. And we have been in touch with congressional leaders for weeks now on making sure they understood our concerns and their potential impact on housing and the real estate industry. So I'm gonna cover those as well, and some of the success we've been able to secure here in the early days of this infrastructure package moving forward. So on the bipartisan infrastructure bill, or the traditional infrastructure bill covering roads and bridges and transit, that bill contains many investments in communities that NAR has supported for years, including the expansion of broadband. Infrastructure is critical for strong and healthy communities, and so that certainly is something that NAR supports. Now, that bill, which, as I mentioned, is bipartisan, passed the Senate on a 69-30 vote back in August and is now awaiting action in the House. So that included all 50 Democrats and 19 Republicans. So this was a very rare bipartisan vote that you really don't see every day in Washington. Now, the partisan $3.5 trillion social infrastructure bill, again, covering more of the education and healthcare investments, is going to be ushered through Congress by Democrats using the budget reconciliation process. That, again, is the process by which the Republicans want Democrats to raise the debt limit to help pay for the bill. Now, that budget reconciliation process only requires 50 votes in the Senate, rather than 60, which would allow Democrats to avoid a Republican filibuster. Republicans are united in their opposition to the social infrastructure bill. And because Democrats hold such slim majorities in Congress right now, just 8 seats in the House and an even split in the Senate 50-50, with Vice President Harris serving as the tie-breaking vote, the infrastructure bill is going to need every Senate Democrat and almost every House Democrat to pass. So where does the debate stand? Well, first and foremost, Democrats need to get their own act together on this bill, because there is a disagreement between the progressive wing of the party and the more moderate wing of the Democratic Party. Democratic progressives have pledged to withhold their support for the bipartisan infrastructure bill covering, hard infrastructure like roads and bridges, until the social infrastructure bill, including education and healthcare investments, has passed the US Senate. Meanwhile, Democratic moderates like Senator Joe Manchin from West Virginia and Kirsten Sinema from Arizona have called for a slowdown on the process in the Senate, as well as a smaller package. So they want to see this social infrastructure bill go from $3.5 trillion down to, say, maybe $1 or $2 trillion. So somehow, over the next couple of weeks, both Leader Schumer and Speaker Pelosi have to keep their caucuses on board and come to some kind of compromise, all while working with the White House to try to move this package along. Speaker Pelosi had previously set an ambitious deadline to vote on the full package, both bills in the House, by next Monday. That deadline looks like it's likely going to shift, maybe as late as into October, at least on the larger $3.5 trillion package. Yesterday, President Biden hosted both Democratic leaders, as well as members of the progressive and moderate wings of the party at the White House. And they supposedly, as of this morning, have reached an agreement on the framework for paying for the package itself, but there still doesn't seem to be a full compromise yet on what the bill will ultimately look like, and or whether or not there's going to be a vote on Monday. So stay tuned for that. So, where do things stand in terms of housing and infrastructure? Let me, before I move forward, I just want to look and see if there are any questions in the chat. I see one question here. Let's see. What is the current debt ceiling limit? That's actually a good question, Lorraine. I honestly don't know, because they keep raising it. So like at this present moment, I actually can't tell you what the current debt limit is. I know it was, as I said, it was raised 3 times under the Trump administration. So this will be the first time they've had to raise it under the Biden administration. So I will check with my policy staff and get back to you on that. But that's a good question. We should all understand where we are in terms of our debt limit. First, I will say, for some reason in my mind, $30 trillion is floating out there. I think the limit may have been somewhere around 30 trillion. And for context, as I said, I think all of the COVID relief packages put together amounted to about $5.3 trillion. So we at least have to be raising the debt limit to cover the $5.3 trillion that has been spent in COVID relief over the last few years. So like I said, I'll check with my policy folks and get back to you on that excellent question, because I agree. All Americans should absolutely know what the debt ceiling is. So where has NAR been active in terms of our advocacy leading up to this potential progress on the infrastructure package? Last week, the House of Representatives wrapped up 2 weeks of robust committee hearings on the infrastructure package itself. And I'm happy to report that thanks to both NAR and CAR's advocacy efforts, like I said, over the last few weeks, really the last few months, and even back into early spring, through virtual meetings directly with members of Congress and advocacy on Capitol Hill by our lobby team here in DC, we were pleased to see that many of the revenue-raising tax measures that we were advocating against were not included in the proposal. For example, the changes to the 1031 like-kind exchange, which had been proposed to cap the deferred capital gains at $500,000, that entire proposal was left out of the draft bill altogether. So that was a huge success, among our advocacy efforts, and certainly a big success for our commercial real estate industry and members as well. Additionally, the proposal to effectively repeal the step up in basis by taxing unrealized capital gains at death was also essentially left out of this bill. And so those are 2 huge preliminary victories so far within the bill as it has now been reported out of the House Committee on Ways and Means. So this is very early in the process. As a reminder, this still needs to go to a full House floor vote and needs to go to the Senate. But for now, from the beginning stages of this debate, it looks like 2 of our 3 biggest tax concerns were defeated. And so, that is something that we're happy to see, and we'll continue monitoring to make sure that, those tax revenue provisions remain out of this infrastructure bill. I'd also like to share that some of the other proposals we were most concerned about were included in the draft bill, but the language was drafted in a way to be much less harmful than had been originally proposed. For example, the third real big tax issue that we were concerned about, the raise in the capital gains tax, the proposal had originally, the proposal had originally been written to say that they would increase the capital gains tax to 39.6%. In the bill that came out of the House Ways and Means Committee, it was modified to be increased only to a 25% maximum rate instead of the 39.6% rate. So that certainly was, a good outcome from our advocacy efforts among the House Ways and Means Committee. Also, the expected change in tax treatment for carried interest largely exempts real estate investments. So, it's too early to say that we dodged a bullet here. As I mentioned, it still has to move through the House and move through the Senate. But these are really good early signs, and so we feel like we're in a very good position in terms of our advocacy efforts. Heading into the later parts of this process on Capitol Hill. Now, I also wanted to mention some of the more positive housing provisions that were also included in the proposal reported out from House Ways and Means. One of the major items that we do like in this bill was the Neighborhood Homes Investment Act, which NAR actually included among our top federal priority asks during our mid-year legislative meetings back in May and June. And so that act, the Neighborhood Homes Investment Act, is presently part of the infrastructure package moving through the House. What does this bill do? It would offer tax credits to attract private investment for building and rehabilitating owner-occupied homes, and provides a powerful incentive to build and rehabilitate 500,000 homes over the next decade. And so the Neighborhood Homes Investment Act is intended to fill the gap in areas where it may be more expensive to develop or rehabilitate, where it may be more expensive to develop or rehabilitate homes. Also in the bill, we also see at the moment an expansion of the housing rehabilitation tax credit, an expansion of the low income housing tax credit, an extension and expansion of energy efficiency incentives, an extension of the residential energy efficient property tax credit, and a number of other new energy efficient home credits as well. So, these are certainly, provisions that will impact the industry in positive ways. But, our main concern all along has been, it's great that Congress is including, pro-housing provisions in this bill, but let's make sure that the tax increases don't completely negate the positive impact of the housing provisions on the real estate industry. And so that's kind of where we're at right now with infrastructure and where things stand on Capitol Hill. This next week is going to be pivotal for both House and Senate Democrats and for President Biden in trying to negotiate a compromise, within his own party among the moderate and progressive wings of the Democratic caucus, as well as having to step in and find some kind of compromise with Republicans to make sure the government stays funded and that the debt limit is lifted. So, one thing I just want to emphasize before I wrap up here and take questions from folks is, the important role that the Realtor Political Action Committee, or RPAC, as well as our Realtor Volunteers have played and will continue to play in all of these advocacy efforts. So RPAC is the largest and most bipartisan political action committee in the United States. We give the most money to candidates on both sides of the aisle than any other PAC in the United States. Last election cycle in 2020, our contributions were almost evenly split, 51% to Democrats, 49% to Republicans. The way by which our PAC functions is by working with state and local associations and realtors across the country to figure out who are the candidates and elected officials out there who are promoting the protection of private property rights and the promotion of home ownership. And so RPAC really gives us the power as an industry to impact both elections and in turn, impact policy that's made by elected officials on Capitol Hill, as well as in your state houses and in your local city councils and town halls. Without RPAC, without the funding and the investments from our realtors all across this country, we wouldn't be able to do our job here on Capitol Hill. We are now, as of last year, I believe, the largest lobbying arm of any organization in Washington, D.C. I think we just beat out the Chamber of Commerce, U.S. Chamber of Commerce, for the first time in our history. And so in order to do the lobbying that we do up on Capitol Hill, that helped us secure so many relief benefits for realtors during COVID, and certainly allowed us access and effectiveness in emphasizing how these tax increases within the infrastructure package would negatively impact real estate. We would not have been able to do any of that or pay for any of that work without RPAC. And so I just want to emphasize just how important RPAC is, and really just the fact that we wouldn't be able to do the things we do and achieve the successes we have over the years, and hopefully the successes we'll find here within the current infrastructure debate without your investments in RPAC. So please consider giving if you haven't already, and to those who are investors in RPAC, thank you, thank you, thank you. And to Cecilia's point also, I just wanted to touch upon the role that Realtor Volunteers have played in our recent sort of federal priority actions. One major role that volunteers played for us was back in July during the debate over the federal eviction moratorium. Back in July, the moratorium was coming supposedly to an end because NAR had forced litigation up to the Supreme Court, which basically had said that the CDC had gone beyond its reach in implementing the eviction moratorium, and that it would take an act of Congress in order to extend any future eviction moratoriums. So as we were heading towards the end of July, we thought we were in good shape and that the eviction moratorium would finally come to an end. And we were, continuing to emphasize the need among states and among congressional leaders to get that emergency rental assistance out the door to our mom and pop housing providers and landlords, because we NAR had secured $47 billion in emergency rental assistance for housing providers across the country, and the money just wasn't getting out the door. And so our message to Congress was get that, let's focus on getting these state programs up and running. And I know in California you have county programs as well that have hit a lot of hurdles in terms of actually getting this money into the hands of housing providers. We're like, let's focus on that. Let's not keep extending this eviction moratorium and kicking the can down the road. So as we headed towards the final 48 hours of the eviction moratorium at the end of July, members of Congress started to enact a last minute push to extend the eviction moratorium yet again. We honestly were a bit taken aback by this effort because the White House had told us that they had no intention on asking the CDC to extend the eviction moratorium because the Supreme Court clearly had indicated that the CDC had gone beyond its power. And so all of a sudden, Congress just decided, all right, we're going to try to extend this yet again. And so we have this program at NAR called our Federal Political Coordinator Program, or FPCs. These are over 535 realtors who have been appointed by our NAR president to serve as direct liaisons to their member of Congress. So these are constituents of each member of Congress within the district. And in many cases, these realtors, regular everyday realtors, just like yourselves, have either sold this member of Congress their house or have some relationship with their family or have known this member of Congress for years. And so I will tell you that our FPC program is the envy of advocacy organizations in Washington, D.C., because whenever we have an issue come down the pike in Congress and we either need to support it or we need to oppose it, we can put out a call for action to these realtor volunteers to say, hey, we've got something that we need members of Congress to act on. We need you to get in touch with your member of Congress to make sure they know where we stand and what we would hope that they do in terms of their vote. And in many cases, these realtor volunteers have the phone number, a direct phone number to their staff, the cell phone number that they can text directly to the member of Congress, or know a family member of theirs. And when we need our realtor volunteers to act, I mean, they get right to it. And so in the course of 48 hours, we put out a nationwide call for action among all of our realtor FPCs and said, please get in touch with your member of Congress and tell them that Congress needs to focus on getting rental assistance out the door and not extend the eviction moratorium. And over the first 24 hours of that call for action, I can tell you, we were getting reports in from our realtor members across the country where many moderate Democrats, for example, we're reading this letter that we had FPC send to each member of Congress that outlined our concerns over the rental assistance and the extension of the eviction moratorium. And members of Congress were responding back saying, you know what, I agree with you all. It's time to end the eviction moratorium and get this rental assistance out the door. And so, by that second day, leading up to the expiration of the federal eviction moratorium, we knew here in Washington at NAR that we had secured enough Democratic votes against extending the eviction moratorium that they weren't going to be able to do it in Congress. And I think later that morning, the chief member of Congress who was trying to push the eviction moratorium extension, she referenced Realtors as an entity that obviously was pushing back on this. And, she went in front of her committee and said, I know the Realtors are opposed to this for these reasons, but here's why I'm pushing for it. And so she literally outlined exactly our concerns and why we were why we were pressing members of Congress to vote against it. And ultimately, Speaker Pelosi had to go to the White House later that afternoon and tell President Biden that they were not going to be able to extend the eviction moratorium. And so that is just like one example of where our Realtor Volunteers truly played a critical role in advocating for our federal advocacy priorities. And just to fast forward to this debate over infrastructure, when we saw that these tax proposals were coming down the pike in terms of capital gains, 1031, and eliminating the step-up basis, we immediately set up meetings with key members of Congress on House Ways and Means, Senate Finance Committee, and set up those meetings through our Realtor Volunteers, those FPCs, to make sure that before this infrastructure bill really moved forward, we would be able to clearly communicate to members of Congress our concerns and make sure that they knew where we stood and understood that our ask was for them to not use these different tax provisions that would have such negative impacts on real estate to fund this infrastructure bill. And as I mentioned, I think that we had some pretty good success on that. So I'll just leave you with this, and I'm happy to take questions, but I'll just say that, if you aren't involved in advocacy yet, if you haven't really kind of been following government affairs at the local or the state level, start there. Start with local issues that are moving through, your local city, or city halls or town halls or, your county commission. Pay attention to what your local association is sending out in terms of updates on local policies that could either positively or negatively impact housing. Pay attention to the California Realtors Red Alerts and participate in contacting your state legislators in Sacramento when issues arise. And and when it comes to federal issues, let us know if you're interested in getting more involved, and we're happy to connect you with your Realtor federal political coordinators locally, and have you part of our discussions and meetings and advocacy discussions with members of Congress, because it truly, we here in Washington, we can show up in a congressional office and ask a member of Congress to do one thing or another, but we're just an advocacy org in Washington. Our power and our influence comes from our 1.5 million realtors across the country, who are the constituents of all these members of Congress, who have real stories to tell, who can put a face to the policy that we here at the NAR staff are talking about every day. They can tell the real story about how the policy Congress is enacting is impacting, the real estate industry, realtors, and all of your clients. So again, thank you all for having me here, and I'm happy to take any more questions, Cecilia, if there are any in the chat box.
Yes, there are a couple. In reality, will we ever pay off our debt?
That's a good question. Well, if we keep if we keep having pandemics, it doesn't look like we're going to be able to pay off our debt anytime soon. It really is a, it's a function of priorities among the parties and congressional leaders. And on both sides, Democrats and Republicans are guilty of overspending throughout the years. And I think back in the day, right, Republicans kind of positioned themselves as the fiscal conservatives, right, whereas Democrats were the big spenders. And certainly in recent years, the focus on fiscal conservatism, I think, was pushed to the wayside a bit to allow for spending on Republican priorities, right? And then when it came to COVID, you pushed all of those concerns aside because everyone said we need to spend money to keep families afloat so we don't see a crash in the economy. So what you're seeing now, I think, is a refocus by the Republican Party to say enough's enough. We're not participating any further in the raising of this debt limit because it's just enough is enough, right? The problem though is that the reason why we need to raise the debt limit is because think of it as like a credit card bill, right? We've already spent the money that we need to raise the debt limit to account for, right? So for Republicans to presently say, oh, we're not going to raise the debt limit because we're going to be fiscal conservatives, it's like, no, you already spent the money, helping America get through COVID. You've already spent that money. So everyone was guilty of spending that money, and now we have to pay the bill. This isn't a matter of not wanting to raise the debt limit to stop future spending. We have to raise the debt limit to pay for the money that we've already spent, in response to COVID and the years since the last time we raised the debt limit. So perhaps though, Cecilia, we may be at a place where we are going to start to see, the Republican Party once again start really pushing back on government spending and, maybe realigning itself with more of its traditional party tenets. So, we'll see on that. Will we ever pay off our debt? I mean, like I said, I think we're somewhere around $30 trillion. That's a lot of money to pay back and make up. So in the short term, I think the answer is no.
No. Ami has a question. Much of our debt is being held by foreign entities, and to my understanding, they use it to invest in the American real estate and economy. Statement,
is that
true or false?
Is that a question? Is that a question?
I think it's more of a statement, but
More
is
of a
it true
statement?
or false?
True or false? I mean, certainly there are. So I guess the question is, are foreign governments, right? Because we're borrowing money from foreign governments. Are those foreign governments then investing in American real estate?
Yeah.
I think there are likely examples of that. I personally, I don't know. I'm certainly not the international expert on this, so I don't want to speak out of turn. I would have to imagine there are probably examples of that, but I would rather check back with my global policy team and make sure I get you a correct answer on that.
Okay, thank you, Christian.
You bet.
Can realtors, this is from Mario Manzanilla. Can realtors help spread the word about the funding available for renters? And if so, what would you recommend?
Absolutely. So, and forgive me, Celia, I'm not aware exactly what your local association has done so far, but I do want to just make folks aware that NAR has a number of community outreach grants available. I think anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 to $10,000, where associations can apply to actually fund events and programs to disseminate information about emergency rental assistance programs. So, number one, yes, please, we need all of our realtor members across the country, talking about the rental assistance, how to apply for it, where to go, and just making sure people are aware of it, because what we found is that quite often it's not that people that the programs aren't necessarily working. in various states. It's that people just don't know that they can apply for it, or they don't know how to apply for it. And so we want to make sure that we have funding available through NAR and RPAC to help you all at the local level create programs or some kind of ways by which to educate the general public. So I know, for example, there was a local in Massachusetts, I think, that put together an event where they brought in affordable housing and landlord groups together to talk about the program that Massachusetts is currently running. And I think they streamed it live on Facebook. And just they tried to make it an event that they could then promote out to their membership to say, here, if people have questions about how to apply for the rental assistance, watch this video and find out exactly how you can apply as a landlord or as a tenant. So certainly we need folks promoting this, because I think as of the end of August, only 11% of the funds had actually gone out the door out of the 47 billion. So there's a lot of money still to get out there into the hands of housing providers.
Okay, Mario, so there's the answer to your question. You need to get involved in a committee to help do that. Okay, our last question looks like it comes from Caesar. Does printing more money affect the price of homes?
That is a question for our economist, Lawrence Young. that is well above my pay grade, but I certainly can check on that.
Okay, thank you. And Ami responded, yes, it does. And in general, it accelerates the inflation.
Right. I think the question is how does inflation impact the cost of homes, right? And obviously, inflation increases the cost of homes. But I can with regard to the actual printing of money, I can talk to Lawrence about that.
Okay, thanks, Christian. On behalf of the West San Gabriel Valley Realtors, we'd like to thank Mr. Hoisrad for his very informative presentation and his time and effort coming from Washington, DC. We love having you on Zoom, and I understand we're going to see you soon at the CAR convention.
You got it. I can't wait. It'll be my first trip to California since the start of COVID. So I can't wait to get back to the state.
Thank you again, Christian.
You bet.
Okay. And now for our attendance drawing. WSGVR members only must be present to win. Your member name must be displayed. No telephone numbers will be accepted. We will give out 3 winners, $10 Amazon e-gift card. Winner must reply in the chat box with your DRE name and email. Okay, let's spin the wheel. All right, here we go. Our first name is Alan Ibarra. Are you here, Alan?
I don't believe this person is here.
Oh.
The chance of winning is pretty high. 133 people signed up. 104 is here right now.
Good. And our second name?
Oh,
Chen.
This person won all the time. You Chen, please text your email address. I know you're here.
Alan Ibarra, second time.
They put us on radio mode all the time. Yu Chen, shall we call him 3 times?
Yes. Yu Chen, second call. Alan Ibarra, third call. Okay, you, one more time. Get your name and your email address in the chat box.
Okay, so we don't know whether we have first winner or not.
Okay.
I would like to have Amazon $10. Please give it to me.
And the winner is Peter Lowe.
Peter is here. Peter, 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 Peter.
Peter Lowe, are you here?
Person is here, but we don't know where it is. Peter, can you type in your email address? Oh my God, where are these people? So
we're gonna spin the wheel again. Peter Lowe, second time. Steve Chu.
no, Steve Chu.
Steve Chu, are you here this morning?
No. Can you spin somebody that's here that answer us? Like me?
Who's spinning that wheel?
Albert.
Albert.
Albert, you need.
Catalina Mack.
That person is here.
All
She's
right,
here.
Catalina.
Can you type in your email address, please? And we'll verify if you're a member. Thank you. Email address. So we got one winner, right?
Catalina Mack.
Congratulations.
Our next winner, hopefully.
Kurt is here.
Chen. All right.
Kurt, acknowledge yourself, please. Hello, hello.
Is everybody unmuted?
We try to unmute them, yes, when I find them. Kurt.
Kurt, wake up. Going once. Catalina Mack.
Is the only one. Okay, so we have one winner. We have two more to go.
Did Catalina respond?
Yes, she did.
Yes. Okay.
I'm here.
Hasn't.
I need my Amazon movie. Cecilia, I thought she was here. Hold on.
Cecilia Houdinian.
Yes, she is here.
Okay, the other Cecilia.
Yes, yes, thank you.
Yay! Congratulations.
Yay. Please type in your email address, please.
Okay, I will.
Last one, right, Sil?
Yes.
Me.
Chu Fung.
This person is here.
All right, Chu,
Chu.
put in your email address.
Can you acknowledge Chu? Chu? Hello, Chu. You know, why is it so difficult to give out $10?
Maybe we ought to make it $11. $11.
Oh, there she is. Okay,
There's
there he is.
Catalina.
Two. There's two. Two is
Okay,
here.
We've got
Okay, we got three.
Catalina and Chu
And Cecilia.
and Cecilia. All right.
Congratulations to
winners.
all.
Thank you very much. Okay. Please make sure to participate in our education classes.
No, we're not there yet. They haven't moved the screen.
I'm trying to help them.
There you go.
That's the attendance drawing. All right, let's join our education classes. Visit the email that's on the screen there. 2021 Code of Ethics Training. This is free to WSGVR primary members only. This is a required class that you must take before the end of the year, and we're offering it for free. Next is the real estate market update, Friday, September 27th, 11 to 12, and it is also free. Safer at Home and Learn, rev up your listing in reverse mortgage, Thursday, September 28th, 11 to 12, and it is free. CRMLS virtual training, HomeSnap Pro app, September 29th, 9 to 10, and the cost again, free. You can't beat that. That's what Wes and Gabriel is all about, education. All right, we're going to have a little video from the CAR Expo. Berlin.
Time to find your comfy spot wherever you are and get ready to dive into this year's Reimagine Real Estate virtual event. That's right, we're virtual, so kick back with your laptop, your coffee, and your slippers. This year's lineup includes industry experts and CEOs, top producers, and marketing gurus that have been killing it, all here to share their knowledge and provide insights to help grow your business for years to come. And we're supplying you with timely information to get you back on track, your business booming, and fresh perspectives to push you to the next level. Hop from room to chat with potential business partners, get the tools, resources, and takeaways you can't find anywhere else. Staying connected is what our industry is all about. So just because we can't be together in person doesn't mean we can't stay connected. Being virtual doesn't mean we stop all the fun. Stop in to see if you're a winner at our major prize drawings. Relax with yoga, and then rock out while the DJ spins live. Don't miss this free 3-day event. But if you do miss any sessions, we've got you covered. All content will be available on demand until December 31st. Did we mention this is all free for CAR members? Connect with thousands of realtors by signing up today at reimagineexpo.org.
Amazing information at those seminars. Register as soon as possible. All right, next meeting will be September 30th at 9 a.m. Please join us as we welcome our feng shui master, Alex Z from Good Luck Universe. Visit us at wsgvar.com. Okay, our meeting is now adjourned. Thank you all for attending today. We'll see you next week.